Hey guys, welcome to Fandom Sage Rewind, where we talk comics and heroes and films. And the Captain America Brave New World trailer dropped a few days ago, and it looked pretty amazing. I wanted to talk about some of the characters that we know about, some that we might not know about, and how they relate to their comic book counterparts, and what we can expect from the movie. Brave New World is the fourth chapter in the MCU's Captain America series, and while it may not include Steve Rogers, the film will continue one significant part of his story. In Captain America Civil War, Steve goes against the US government's order to arrest Bucky Barnes and becomes a fugitive from his country. After the events of Civil War, Secretary Ross continues to search for these exiled heroes, especially Steve Rogers, Sam Wilson, and Natasha Romanoff. And he continues his search through Avengers Infinity War and Black Widow, but after Endgame, the government absolves them from any past transgressions, and I'd hope so since they saved the universe. Previously, Sam Wilson did appear in Falcon and the Winter Soldier alongside Bucky Barnes, and that story continues into this film. In the trailer, we see Thaddeus Ross, now President Ross, speaking with Sam Wilson, telling him that he wants to make Captain America an official part of the US military again, and possibly mend some fences. Replacing William Hurt is Harrison Ford. Rest in peace, William Hurt. Anthony Mackie makes a joke to Harrison Ford about his new look, and President Ross comments that he had to lose the mustache or lose the presidency, which is a funny double entendre about him not having a mustache and him obviously not being William Hurt. Thought that was pretty well done, and probably the only joke in this trailer. We also see Joaquin Torres, who becomes the new Falcon, played by Danny Ramirez. Then we see there's an attack on the president by none other than Isaiah Bradley, played by Carl Lumbly. From here, the trailer picks up with a lot of quick shots. We get a quick shot of Shira Haas playing Sabra, looking like she's being interrogated. Giancarlo Esposito, who it is believed he is playing GW Bridge. We also see some shots of Zosha Rockmore backing up Sabra. And the end of the teaser does give us an awesome aerial action shot showing Sam and Joaquin Torres both flying through the sky. And we also see Sam flying fast enough to break the sound barrier. That was a pretty awesome shot. The last shot is a shot of Red Hulk catching Cap's shield and slamming it down into the ground. So yeah, pretty awesome. What I'm excited for is to see Sam's growth into this role of Captain America. During Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he had quite a few obstacles to overcome, and one of those was his own self-doubt. And it seems like he, by the end, had accepted this role that was bestowed upon him by Steve Rogers with the support of Bucky Barnes. Now we're seeing the evolution of Thaddeus Ross throughout all of these years, all of these films. He has wanted power, he has wanted control. Now that he's made it to the White House, he's still reaching for more. I know that the Celestial that is in the Indian Ocean will play a part in this film. Apparently, allegedly, it is going to be some resources many people want, many governments want, possibly adamantium. The aerial battle from the teaser appears to be taking place around the Celestial. The same battle that we see Sam appears breaking the sound barrier. So I'm excited to see what upgrades he gets to his suit and his wings. I know in the comics that Wakanda played a part in that, because that was a cool shot of him breaking the sound barrier. Anthony Mackie is back. He looks great. The new suit looks really good. I know there's a helmet that is included. A lot of people were criticizing the fact that he didn't wear headgear. I used to say, well, he's not the type to get too physical right up in front of anybody. He's a flyer and he relies more on speed, agility. So if he's going to get hit, regardless if he's wearing a helmet or not, I feel like it's going to take him out. To me, as long as his eyes and stuff were covered, that seemed like the most important thing to a flyer. Now he has a partner of his own in Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon. In the comics, I believe this character is actually a mutant, but I don't think they're doing that version of Falcon for him. So, but hey, you never know. Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross. You know what? I didn't expect to like Harrison Ford as much as I did when I saw this trailer. I immediately accepted that this is Thunderbolt Ross. Big ups to Harrison Ford. Looking forward to seeing his performance. Sabra is an interesting character that drew a lot of controversy in the comics. She is a Israeli hero and an agent of the Mossad, which is kind of like Israel's CIA for obvious reasons, or maybe not so obvious to some people. For many, this character brings up a lot of negative thoughts and negative feelings towards certain groups and individuals around the world. So Marvel has reportedly changed this character's backstory to be a ex-Black Widow that is now a government agent for the United States to avoid some of that criticism and backlash. This character is also a mutant in the comic books that has super strength, speed, durability, flight, I believe, and a healing factor. This character, she could also transfer part of her life force to people to heal them or make them stronger, give them powers, actually. So I hope they keep that aspect of the character. I think that's probably the most interesting part of the character, even after the change they made. So we'll see. Shira Haas plays Sabra. Other characters that we didn't see in the trailer that reportedly were cast and then possibly subsequently removed and edited out due to rewrites and reshoots. Seth Rollins, who is reportedly cast as King Cobra, a member and leader of the Serpent Society. King Cobra is an interesting character that was a mutate change due to some experimental anti-venom or anti-toxin irradiated snake venom, and he could control all the muscles in his body to such a degree he could like literally lay down and like crawl around the floor without moving any of his limbs, which is kind of weird. He was also double jointed in every joint in his body, so he could twist his whole midsection around, like dislocate his hips and arms and fit into really small spaces that normal people could not get into. He was a contortionist. He could put himself back together. He could also wrap himself around people and crush them with his body. So pretty freaky. And he also had pheromones to control people and make people pliant to his demands and whatnot. Another actress that was cast, Rosa Salazar, is allegedly cast also as a member of the Serpent Society, Diamondback. Diamondback is a character in the comics that does not have actual superpowers, but she's a very skilled and athletic fighter, martial artist, highly gifted marksman as far as throwing objects like knives and things like that. And she would actually carry an arsenal of these diamond-shaped projectiles that had a variety of different ones that she could cause a different effect, like either it could be explosives or poison or all kinds of things inside of her little diamond-shaped projectiles that she would throw at people. And she would end up kind of crossing over to the good side eventually after she developed feelings for Steve Rogers. These two Serpent Society characters possibly have been removed from the movie, but that remains to be seen. Hopefully not. Giancarlo Esposito is allegedly playing G.W. Bridge, and this makes a lot of sense from statements that he's made about being in the MCU for a long run and being in another project, Disney Plus series. Because if he is GW Bridge, that means that he is a high-ranking SHIELD agent or ex-SHIELD agent, depending on what part of his career he is in. He was also a mercenary, and that he would also get hired by SHIELD to run very dangerous missions as a subcontractor. He was most notably known in the comics for always being after mutants. He was a mutant hunter and hated them, especially Cable. He really didn't like Cable a lot, I remember. And he worked with a character called Garrison Kane, who would go on to be an even bigger villain after that. And then he would come back to SHIELD, and they tasked him with tracking down and capturing the Punisher. I believe this theory. I've heard some other people say that he will show up in either Daredevil Born Again or the Punisher series as an antagonist to Frank Castle. I definitely would be down for that. I think that Giancarlo Esposito is one of the greats working right now, and he's awesome in pretty much everything he's in. So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of impact he has on the MCU going forward. Brave New World is a sequel to two other Marvel movies, Captain America Civil War, as well as 2008's Incredible Hulk. Yes, that's right. Some loose ends are getting tied up from both of those movies. There's a quick glimpse of somebody covered up with like a hat or something on, and I believe that's probably Samuel Stearns, played by Tim Blake Nelson. Samuel Stearns was last seen in the Incredible Hulk movie starring Edward Norton as Bruce Banner. He was infected by Bruce's blood like Jennifer Walters was and became She-Hulk, but as we know, Samuel Stearns' character in the comic books is the Leader. The Leader is a gamma mutate. Like all gamma mutates, or most, he has green skin. Because of the nature of how he came into contact with the gamma radiation, his brain was mutated and his head got really swollen, so his intelligence is above genius level, and this grants him enhanced intuition, pattern solving, information storage and retrieval, logical and philosophical structuring abilities. In some comics, he also possessed telepathy and telekinesis. He can move things or shield from attack. He would make a barrier around himself. His brain is his weapon. And we're also getting back Betty Ross, played by Liv Tyler, after 16 years. And it feels strange for her to be back and not have Bruce Banner as a part of the film. But hey, you never know. Maybe he will pop up. But I don't expect that. But what could happen, and not to say that this will or even should, in the comic books, Betty does undergo several transformations throughout her years and years in the comics. And the very first one was when she was forcibly changed into the Harpy, which was a gamma mutate. And this version of Betty had wings, had flight, claws that could cut through freaking metal and all kinds of stuff. She was pretty deranged and a very big problem for a long time. Not to say that this will happen, like I said, but hey, you never know. Maybe the way the leader gets control or gets some kind of leverage over Ross would be to capture Betty, and maybe he makes President Ross turn into the Red Hulk as a trade for Betty or cure her from becoming Harpy. That would be kind of cool. You know, she's in the movie and I almost forgot until making this video. And hey, if you want to use all the characters and really play in the toy box, why not at least dabble with the idea of that? I would be down for that. Now, the character is really creepy and pretty unsettling. I've always found that character really creepy. I think it's the feet. In the trailer, we get several shots of this young woman. Seems like she's an agent of some sort. The actress's name is Zosha Rockmore. Her role in the movie has not been disclosed as of yet, but many people are believing that this is Layla Taylor, who in the comic books was a love interest of Sam Wilson. And in fact, the particular story where Sam goes to Wakanda to get his upgrades, in that same issue, he takes Layla Taylor with him, and is one of the major stories involving her and Sam in Wakanda. Carl Lumbly is back as Isaiah Bradley, who had a masterful performance in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Definitely one of my favorite parts of the series was his performance. And I don't know why he's attacking. I'm assuming it might have something to do with the leader, because like I mentioned, the leader does have telepathic abilities. Maybe he's manipulating his mind. Maybe he's controlling him or something like that. We don't know. Another character that I hope to see, Eli Bradley, who is the grandson of Isaiah Bradley. He becomes a young Avenger called Patriot. He is played by Elijah Richardson in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We got only a little bit of him, but he seemed to fit the role quite well. He did make some tweets and posts on Instagram a couple of years ago saying that he was looking forward to coming back and that there's a possibility that he would be in Captain America 4, but we haven't really heard anything about that since. So hopefully he'll be in the mix. It would make sense since they have announced that they are working on the Young Avengers. We got Cassie Lang. We know that Wanda's son Billy is coming back in Agatha All Along, and Hulkling might possibly be in that as well. So if they're bringing up these characters and getting ready to build Young Avengers, then it makes sense to me to have him, especially since we see that his grandfather is in the film. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does pop up, at least for a little bit. And lastly, characters that we also didn't see but appear to be attached to the cast list is Bucky Barnes, Sebastian Stan. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't show up, because I know that Thunderbolts is going on too. But I feel like that possibly should tie into this film in some sort of way, because Thunderbolts is Thunderbolt Ross's pet project. So I feel like there has to be a little bit of overlap there. Am I right? I don't know. Also, Emily Van Camp as Sharon Carter. I'm not sure. There were a lot of reports saying that they had written her out of the script. We haven't heard anything about her. Last time we saw her in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, she ended up being the power broker. Sorry, spoiler alert. She had turned away from the side of the light. I was looking forward to find out how her story progressed. Like I said, we really haven't heard hide nor hair about Sharon Carter and what she's been doing. That's a big question mark for her. What do you think? Do you like the way that Captain America Brave New World is shaping up and the way it's looking so far? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe. I'll catch you on the next Rewind.